Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Tariq Amin, lecturer, Department of English, Cohort, University of Science and Technology, Cohort. Our today's topic is the strategies for improving reading skills, and this is the 13th lecture of the course communication skills. The course code for the course is ENG134. Lecture outlines include reading, and then strategies for improving reading skills. There are different strategies that can be used to improve reading skills, such as predicting, visualizing, making connections, summarizing, questioning, and at the end, inferring. The objectives of today's class are the students will be able to know about reading skills. They will come to know about what are reading skills, and then to understand the different strategies that can help in improving reading skills. Reading. In the previous class we had defined reading as the process of decoding written symbols to arrive at meaning, and the process of deriving meaning from written symbols. So we derive meaning from written symbols. This is a very much important point, that when we derive meaning from written symbols, it is reading, and when we derive meaning from spoken symbols, it is listening. So this is the difference between reading and listening, and we have discussed these different points in our previous class, in physical classes, but just as to repeat what reading is, I have just included two definitions of this term reading in this today's online lecture. And we had also discussed that reading is a receptive skills. Receptive skill, there are two broader language skills. The first one is productive skills, and the second one is receptive skills. Productive skills are the skills that enable us to produce information, to generate information, or to produce language, whereas receptive skills are the ones that enable us to receive information or to receive language. So that is why reading is called a receptive skill, because through this language or through this skill we receive information, we receive language. Okay, reading is also defined as the process of looking at a series of written symbols and getting meaning from them. We look at a series of written symbols, and from those written symbols we try to get meaning, and we try to decode those written symbols, and we try to arrive at meaning. Now, we have seen people using different strategies for improving reading skills. These are just a few reading strategies, or these are just a few strategies that can help us in improving our reading skills. The first one is predicting. Now, in order to know what predicting is, let's have a look at this shortest definition or shortest explanation of the term. A prediction is what you think will happen based upon the text, the author, and background knowledge. So it is what you think will happen, and you think of what will happen in the future on the basis of text. You look at the text, you look at the author, and you look at the background knowledge. On the basis of your background knowledge, author, and the text, you think of what will happen. So this is prediction. Prediction is an educated guess as to what will happen. Now, in order to know prediction, what prediction is we should know what an educated guess is. Educated guess is a guess that is based upon some logic. This is based upon some knowledge. That is called educated guess. So on the basis of our knowledge, on the basis of some logic, we predict something. It allows students to use information from the text. We use information from the text, such as title. We can find titles in the text, we can find headings, we can find pictures, we can find diagrams, and on the basis of these information that we take from titles, headings, pictures, and diagrams, we anticipate what will happen in the story, or what is going to happen in the text. So on the basis of these information, we take information from the text, and on the basis of that information, we anticipate what will happen in the story, or what is going to happen in the text, or what is being discussed in the text. Okay, when making predictions, students envision what will come next in the text based on their prior knowledge. This is what we have discussed in the previous lecture, in the previous slide, that on the basis of our prior knowledge, our background knowledge, we envision or we anticipate what will happen or what will come next in the text. Predicting encourages children to actively think ahead and ask questions. So this strategy helps students or help children to actively think ahead. So they think ahead and they ask questions. It allows students to understand the story better, make connection to what they are reading, and interact with the text. Okay, so what could be the advantages of this prediction? Prediction can help students to understand the story better, understand that text better. This can help them understand a text better if they are reading a text for their academic purpose or their exam purposes. Prediction can help them understand the text better, and it also helps them make connections to what they are reading. They can make between different parts of a text and interact with the text. They can also interact with the text. The second strategy that can be used to improve reading skills is visualizing. Visualizing is also known as making mental images or creating mind movies. Okay, visualizing is the creation of images in the mind. We create different images in our minds. As the students read, processes, and recalls what has been read. They recall what has been read. Visualizing a picture or scene with the words and phrases allows the reader to organize the ideas. It helps us organize the ideas and to see the relationship among the ideas and to make meaningful connections with them. When we visualize a picture or visualize a scene on the basis of different words, we use different words and we use different text in order to visualize a picture or scene. And this process allows us to organize the ideas that are there in a text. For example, you are reading a text and you are visualizing along with reading the text. This helps you organize the ideas that are there in your text that you are reading. And after that, to see the relationship among the ideas, there would be different relationship between the different ideas that are discussed in a text. So it also helps you see the different relationship between the different ideas and to make meaningful connections with them. There would be different ideas and you can make different connections between the different ideas with the help of visualizing, with the help of mental images, or with the help of mind movies. The third strategy is making connections. Making connection is another strategy that can be used in the reading process. Yes, we can use it. And by making connections, the learners can activate their prior knowledge and connect the ideas in the text to their own experience, to their prior experiences. So when we read a text, we activate that very text, activate our prior knowledge. We try to activate our prior knowledge and we try to connect the ideas in the text that there were, as I've discussed in the previous slide, that when we read a text, we find different ideas in text. And when we start reading a text, we activate our prior knowledge that is related to that very points or that very text that we are reading. And when we activate our prior knowledge, we try to connect the ideas that are there in the text with to our prior experiences, to our prior knowledge, to our prior knowledge that we already have about that topic or about those ideas. So we try to make connections between the different ideas that are there in the text and the different idea that we already know. This is what we call making connections. When we read a text, or when we read a story, or when we read a text for our exam purposes, academic purposes, we try to make connections between the different ideas that have been discussed in the text and the ideas that we already have about a topic. For example, you are reading a topic on Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. You do have some prior knowledge about Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. When you read the text and you read different ideas in the text, you relate those different ideas in the text to the idea that you already have about Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. For example, you know the date of birth of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And you read some more information about the date of birth of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, so you relate the information of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah to the information that you already have. So this is what we call making connection. This is what happens when we read a text. We always connect different ideas in the text to the ideas that we have in our mind. Reading becomes meaningful, yes, when the reader connects the ideas in the text to their prior experiences, or to their experiences and beliefs and the things happening in the outer world. This is very much important point, that reading becomes meaningful when the reader connects the ideas in the text. I've just discussed that when we read a text, we come across different ideas. We come across different ideas that are discussed in a particular text that we are reading. So we try to connect those ideas in the text to our prior experiences, to our beliefs, to our experiences, and the things happening in the outer world. We try to connect those ideas in the text, first of all, to our experiences, and after that we connect those different ideas to what is going on or what is happening in the outer world. And this process or this activity or this process makes our reading meaningful. And if you are reading a text, you are not connecting it to your personal life, personal experiences, you are not connecting it to the outer world, it won't make your reading meaningful. Reading becomes meaningful when you connect or you try to make different connections between the ideas in the text, and you try to make different connections between the ideas that are there in the text to your personal experiences and to the outer world. This is what makes your reading meaningful. Okay, text to text, text to self, and text to world is a strategy that helps students make connections. These are three different strategies. Let's discuss the first one, that is text to self. Students can make text to self connections through drawing, making a chart, or writing. They can use these different tools such as drawing. They can make a chart and they can write also. In order to make text to self connection, they can connect text to their own selves. Teachers might ask students if they have ever experienced anything like the events in the text. So text to self means that you find ideas in the text. You are reading a text, you come across some ideas and you find some ideas in the text and you connect such ideas to your own self, to your own prior experiences. This is what is called text to self connection. You find ideas in the text and you connect those ideas to your own self, to your personal life, to your personal experiences. This is what we call text to self connections. Okay, there is another one, that is text to text connection. Text to text connection is different from text to self connection. Let's discuss it. Text to text connections, we can make text to text connection through drawing, making a chart, writing, and graphing organizers. This is what we have discussed. We can make text to text connection, we can make text to self connection, we can make text to world connection through drawing, through making a chart, writing, and graphing organizers. Okay, these text to text connections could be based upon how characters in the story relate to each other or how story elements relate between stories. So in this text to text connection, we connect, as I've discussed in the previous slide, that when we read a text, we come across different ideas. For example, you are reading a text and you come across 4 different ideas. Now you connect those 4 different ideas in the text to one another. You connect the first idea to the last idea. You connect the first idea to the third idea, first idea to the third. This is what you do in text to text connections. You try to connect the different ideas in the text. You connect the first idea with the second or the second with the fourth. So this is what we call text to text connections. You connect different elements in a story, or you make different connections between the different characters in the story. Okay, text to world connections. Students can make text to world connections, yes, through drawing, making a chart, writing, or graphing organizers. This is what we have discussed in the previous 2 slides as well, that text to text connections, text to self connections, and text to world connection can be made through drawing, through making a chart, through writing, and through graphic organizers. Okay, text to world connection could be done by comparing characters in a story to characters today, or comparing the content of the text to the world today. This is very much important, and this is what we have discussed in the very first slide about making connections, that we connect the different ideas in the text to the outer world. For example, you are reading a story, you are reading a novel, you are reading a drama, and there are different characters in the drama or in the novel or in the story, and you relate or you make different connections between the different characters that are there in the text, that are there in the novel, that are there in a story or drama, to the different character that you come across in your own life, in your personal life, or the character that you find in the outer world. Or this is what we do in text to world connection. You connect different characters in the story to different characters today. Or when you find a specific idea in a text and you relate that very idea to the ideas in the outer world, or you connect that very ideas to the outer world that you find when you live your own life. So this is the difference between text to text, text to self, and text to world. In text to text connections, you try to connect the different ideas within the text, and text to self connections, you try to connect the ideas in the text to your or personal experiences, to your prior knowledge, your background knowledge. And in the text to world connections, you try to relate the different ideas that you find in the text to the outer world. Summarizing is the 4th strategy. The process of summarizing requires the reader, number 1, to determine what is important when reading. Number 2, to condense the information in the reader on words. Okay, first of all, it helps us determine what is important when you summarize a text. It helps you determine what is important in the reading, what is important in the text. You summarize or you point the most important point in a text in your summary, and like how you skip the unnecessary point, or you skip the point that are not important. And it also helps you condense the information in the reader's own words. After coming to know about the main points that are there in a text, you try to condense the information in the reader's own, in your own word. You write the main points in your own words. During summarizing process, the students will be able to distinguish the main ideas from the supporting ideas. Okay, in different texts we find some main ideas and we find supporting ideas as well. So this process of summarizing helps us distinguish between the main ideas and the supporting ideas. We have discussed in the paragraph writing that in different paragraphs we have some main ideas and some main idea, and there are different supporting ideas that support the main idea. So when we summarize a particular text, for example, you have a text of 10 pages and you have to summarize it. You are summarizing it, you are applying this very strategy. So you need to focus upon the different important points that are there in the text, and you can come to know about the important points by reading different paragraphs. Different paragraphs are based upon different important ideas. So you can come to know about the different important points in a paragraph. And after that you can write those important points in your own words. So this process of summarizing helps you distinguish between the main ideas and the supporting ideas. Okay, distinguishing the related knowledge from the unrelated ones is another important point in summarizing process, which will help students' capacity to improve text comprehension. Okay, this point is very much similar to the previous point, that there are some related knowledge, and there are some points that are not that much related, are those are unrelated ones. And this is what we do in summarizing, because it helps us distinguish between the related knowledge and unrelated knowledge. Okay, and it also helps us improve our comprehension. It also helps us improve our understanding of a text. Summarizing is a strategy which helps students to organize the ideas even in the long reading passages, which are usually perceived as threat for these students. Okay, sometimes we read very short text, for example, text of one para or one paragraph, two paragraphs, three paragraphs, or one page. This is not a long reading passage. This is a short reading passage, but sometimes we come across texts that are of 10 pages, 20 pages, 30 pages, 40 pages. For example, you have to read a whole chapter. Now this is not chapter is not of just one page. It would be of 10 pages, 15 pages. Now this process of summarizing, this strategy of summarizing can help you out in organizing the different ideas that are there in the text. So this process of summarizing also helps you deal with longer text of 10 pages, 15 pages. When you apply this strategy of summarizing, you would come to know about the different important points, and you would write those important points in your own words. And when you would read the same summary of that you have made, or that you have written of the chapter after a month or after a two, you would come to know that you would remember or you would recall all the chapter just on the basis of the summary that you have written. So this is very much important strategy, and students can make use of it. When you read a text for academic purposes, you are reading a chapter, try to make summary of the chapter, try to determine the main points in the text, just focus upon the main points in the text and write it down. And after that, try to add some supporting details to the very important point that you have made, and write the main points in your own words. It would help you out in your exams. Questioning is another strategy. Questions help a reader clarify ideas and deepen understanding. Yes, If you want to deepen your understanding, you must ask different questions. You cannot deepen your understanding until and unless you ask different questions. You can't clarify your ideas. You can't clarify ideas until and unless you ask different questions. So you should ask questions. Question can help you clarify your ideas, and it also helps you deepen your understanding of a text. If you ask questions as you read, you are awake and you are thinking. This is the very, we can say that this is sort of evidence. Yes, we can say that it is sort of evidence when that you are awake or you are thinking when you ask questions. If you don't ask questions, it means that you are not awake, you are not thinking. Diving in with questions, even those that are unanswerable, enriches the reading experience. Okay. So you should ask question. Your question might not be answerable. Your question might be unanswerable, but those unanswerable questions also enrich your reading experience. So the summary is, or the main point is to ask different questions. You should ask question when you read a text. Okay, questions lead you to new ideas, new perspectives, and additional question. You ask one question, and this question lead you to new ideas, and it also lead you to new perspectives. And this question, for example, you have asked one question. This one question will lead you to additional different questions. Some questions don't have easy answers, but all questions inspire thinking, generate discussion, or lead you to other different sources. Yes, sir, some questions might not have easy answers, but when you ask questions, it inspires you to think. It inspires you to think. You will think about your question, you will try to answer your question, and you will try to find the answers to your question in the text. So it inspires thinking, it generates discussion. For example, you ask a question when you read a text, but you don't find the answer to that very question. So it would help you generate discussion. You would ask your different friends, or ask your teachers, you'd ask your classmates, your friends. So it helps you generate different discussions, and you can learn lots of things in such different discussions. Or it will also lead you to other sources, and if you don't consult your friends, your teachers, your parents, your friends, your classmates, it would lead you to other sources. You might search internet for it, you might search a book in library, and you might search different books for it. So your questions would lead you to other sources, and when you consult different sources, you consult your teachers, your friends, your library, your internet, your Google, etc. You will learn lots of things. So it makes you consult different sources. So questioning is very much important. You should ask different questions when you read text. Readers can use the questioning before, during, and after reading. Yes, this is important. When you start reading a text, you should ask some question before starting reading the text, and you can also ask different questions during the text when you are reading it, and you can also ask different questions after reading a text. You have read a text, now after reading a text you can ask different questions. So you can ask questions before, during, and after reading. The sixth strategy is inferring. Refers to reading between the lines. It is reading between the lines. Okay, in order to know what is reading between the lines, you can search internet for it, but let me tell you something about it. That reading between the lines means that you read one sentence, you read another sentence, you read third sentence. The different ideas are, these sentences would discuss different ideas. Now there would be something in between the lines that you would find in these three different sentences. There would be in between the lines that would not be discussed in the line, but on the basis of the different ideas discussed in the text, you would come to know about what is there in between the lines. Okay, this between the lines is very much important point between the lines, but due to the limited time we can't discuss it in details over here. You can search internet for it and you can search different examples for it, and hopefully it would be clear to you when you search internet for it. Okay, students need to use their knowledge along with information from the text to draw their own conclusions. Okay, students use their own knowledge along with information from the text to draw their own conclusion. When we read a text, we come across different ideas, we come across different information in the text, we find different information in the text. We use that information that is there in the text, or we use that information that we already have in the text, and on the basis of that information and our previous knowledge and the knowledge that we already have, and by the combination of those two different knowledge, the knowledge that we find in the text or the information that we find in the text or the ideas that we find in the text, on the basis of the information we find in the text and on the basis of the information that we already have, on the basis of our own knowledge, we draw different conclusions. Different conclusions. We find or we take information from the text, we apply our own knowledge, and we draw different connections. I've had given the example of inferring in your class that when you say that Mr. CR comes to university on his own bike or by his own car, so you can infer different conclusions from the knowledge that is present in this very sentence. You have just one sentence that Mr. CR comes to school by his own car. So this is, you have some information in the text, in the present text. That is just one sentence. You have some knowledge. You have got some knowledge from the text or from the very sentence, and you can use this knowledge and the knowledge that you have in your mind, and you can draw different conclusions. For example, you can say that CR knows how to drive, CR belongs to a well-to-do family, or he is financially stable. So you have used present knowledge that is there in the text, you have used the knowledge that is there in the text, and you have applied your own knowledge that is there in your mind, and you have drawn different conclusions. So this is inferring. We use the present knowledge, or we use the knowledge that is there in the text, and we apply our own knowledge, we combine it with our own knowledge, we apply our own knowledge to draw different connections or to draw different conclusions. Okay, through inferring, students will be able to draw conclusions, make predictions, identify underlying themes. Yes, there would be underlying themes, and use information to create meaning from the text, and use pictures to create meaning. This is what we can do with the help of inferring. We can draw conclusions. This is what I've discussed in the previous slide. You can make predictions. Okay, there is some relationship between prediction and inferring. These are related terms, but there are some differences between inferring and predictions. Inferences and predictions. Prediction is different from inferences or inferring. Identify underlying themes. You can identify different underlying themes in a text with the help of inferring. You can use information to create meaning from the text, yes, and use pictures to create meaning. You can also use pictures to create meaning. Okay, improving reading skills. So let's summarize the class. In today's class, we read about reading that reading is a process, is a highly complex mental activity where we derive meaning from written symbols. We derive meaning from only written symbols, not from spoken symbols. Or it is the process of decoding written symbols to arrive at meanings. And after that, we discussed that if you want to improve your reading skills or your reading, you can use different strategies. And I've discussed in the very first slide that there are many strategies that you can use to improve your strategy, but we would discuss just 6 strategies that can be used to improve reading skills or to improve comprehension. The first one was prediction, the second one was summarizing, visualizing, inferring, questioning, and prediction, etc. These were the different strategies that we have discussed so far, and we have discussed six different strategies. Okay, references: improving reading skills through effective reading strategy by available. Okay, you can find this document online on the sciencedirect.com as well. Just write down improving reading skills through effective reading strategies by Julia Kokoglu. Oh, this is very much difficult name, but you can find this very document on the URL that I've given over here in these preferences. Okay, thank you very much for listening to the video. If you have any question, you may ask. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Allah Hafiz.